Hey guys, it's me, Greenboy657 Gaming here, and today we are going to be talking about Roblox scripting. Now, if you don't know how to use Roblox Studio, that is not what this guide is for, so you can either leave a comment suggesting that I make a how to use Roblox Studio guide, or you can look for one on YouTube, then come back to this video. In order to understand this video, you are going to have you need to have the knowledge of how to use Roblox Studio, and how to paste, remove things like parts. Without further ado, let's begin. Now, in Roblox Studio, whoa, if you see any lines like that on the screen, that's just some sort of visual bug. I don't know what's causing that, so just ignore it, please. So in Roblox Studio, there's three different types of scripts: script, local script, and module script. Now, before I go under what each individual script means, I need to give you an example on how they work, or how client and server interactions work. So right now we have three different parts here. Pretend that this on the right side is the server. These two guys over here are clients. Now the server is pretty much this. It's the environment, it's all this stuff on the Explorer tab, it's everything like that. The client is the player when they join the game. So let's just let this finish loading me. Once this finishes, this is the client. The client is you whenever you join a Roblox game. You can see your environment around you, but you can't see this Explorer tab that's on the right. All you see is everything within the center screen. So now we're going to exit this. So although the client can't see the side screen, they can still see the environment around them, which is in the workspace category. They can see the lighting, which is in the lighting category, and any scripts connected to them can see things such as replicated first and replicated storage. Excuse me. So pretty much, this is the server right here. These are the clients. When the server edits a piece of information, all the clients can see it. But when the client edits a piece of information, they are the only one that can see it. So that's client to server interactions. If the client does a change, let's say a hacker tries to paste in a part. Right here, this is the part they just pasted in. They can see it, but you notice that no one else can see this part. Now, if the server was to insert a part, right there, that's the part that the server just inserted, all of a sudden, all the clients can see it. So now you have the server right here, it did an action and the clients can see it. If you delete this part, the other two parts that were on each client leaves. But whenever the client makes a change, the server can't see it. So pretty much, client changes are usually used for, let's say you're in a map and there's like a wall because you don't have the correct rank to pass somewhere. But only you don't have the correct rank, but this guy over here has the correct rank. So when this guy who doesn't have the rank tries to pass, there's a wall for him. There we go. He can't, well, I'm sorry, but this example is deciding not to work. He cannot pass. See, he's trying, but he can't. But this guy who has it can. Whenever there's games that have walls like that, and if you notice, if they both try to go at the same exact time, this guy can still go, even though there's a wall for him. That's because on his client, the server didn't remove the wall. it used scripts that only did a change on his client only. So this guy thinks that this wall it's gone. So that's how come he was able to pass. So bringing them back, I will now explain how the scripts work. Let's just pop our examples back into place here. Disable collisions and joints. There, so now we have our example back. Client 1, client 2, and then the server's green. The 3 types of scripts is right here, the first script, which is called a normal script. And this script runs server-side. That means that it runs on the server, and the clients over here don't have access to it. A local script runs on the client side, so these 2 clients can see it. Or let's say the client script runs on this guy. He can see it, but the server and the other client can't. And the module script runs on whatever script uses it. Now, module scripts we will go through later. So for now, just know that they exist. Then they're usually used for things such as settings, configurations for games or guns even, things like that. Now, inside scripts, you have multiple different things. The first thing you have, that this is the most important thing to know, is variables. Variables hold information. So you have 2 different ways to call a variable. Add in local, and then the variable's name. So let's say we were documenting how many cheese a player ate for some kind of mouse roleplay game. So amount of cheese eaten. Amount of cheese eaten equals 1. Amount of cheese eaten equals 1. Now these are 2 different ways to call a variable. You can use local, which means that it'll only be visible if the script, for the one time that the script runs. So let's say the script runs every second. Every time the script runs, it'll still think that this is 1, even if you change this number. But when it's called, so if this doesn't exist, and it's called through this, every time the script runs, it'll be able to access the number. Also, I might as well note what these are. These are called notes. This is how you write information. You can either do 2 dashes and then information, and this won't run as code, so this will be completely invisible to the scripts. Or you can run it as adding those, and all information within this space is considered a note. Anything within it. And then once you pass the 2 lines, it's no longer a note. As you can see, it's no longer green, and it's erroring because it's not an actual piece of code, but it thinks that you're trying to run it as. Now, alright guys, sorry about that, I'm back. So we're going to go back to talking about variables. Variables hold data. And now data can be actually a lot of things. Data can be things we call strings. They can be number values. VALU. That's embarrassing. Anyway, they can hold number values. They can hold true/false statements. And they can hold something called arrays. Now the first 3 are a lot more simpler than this complex one. Arrays are complex. So for now, just know that these 3 are the main ones. A string is pretty much what we speak, what we read, all that. It's letters. Letters or numbers combined with letters. So let's see, we got 54 here. Letters 53. Pineapple. Just pretend that's something. This is all in a string. Next, you have number values. Number values are not encased in strings, and all it is numbers. These numbers can have math applied to them. For example, subtraction, addition, all of that. Next, you have true and false statements. True and false is this: true or false. So pretty much just note that true means it's success. It's valid, it's approved, and it'll work. And then false is pretty much don't use it, whatever, things like that. This will be used later. So just note that true and false is literally just the word true and false. And arrays are pretty much this. Array equals encased information, then example equals 7. So arrays are stuff like that. So if you set that in a script, that's what an array is, but we'll cover that after. Next thing we're going to cover is functions. We're going to scroll down a bit. Functions is this. Word function combined with the function name, arguments, then code. So functions are used to quickly run a repeated line of code multiple times. So let's say, for example, all you have to do to run a function is function name and then arguments. Second. Just ignore that. That's just so there's no error pop-ups on our example. And entering this will run any code within this. So if you have a repeated line of code that has to be used multiple times, it goes in functions. Lastly, you have if, then statements. So pretty much if true, then. This is an example. It's pretty much exactly what it says. If, and then if anything, whatever is within this ends up becoming true, then run the code. So in order for something to be true, pretty much all it has to be is either true, or I'm sorry. It has to be true. Or it can be a string. A string, as long as it has data in it, is always considered true. A number that's not 0, actually, is considered true. A number that is 0 is false. The word false is false. So if I were to do, let me give it an example. If 9 plus 10, then this will return true because 9 plus 10 equals 19, and that's not 0. If I were to do if example, then. Now example is not defined. So example is equivalent to something we call nil. Nil pretty much means 0, it means false, it means there's no information. Though with nil cannot have math applied to it, like you can with numbers. And nil also cannot be false or true. Nil cannot be held within a true-false statement. Or it cannot be held within a true and false variable. So nil's a lot different. So now, let's say we want to create a code with our newfound information. Let's create a line of code that changes amount of cheese eaten to 2. What do we do? So what we're going to do is real quick show math operations first. Math is anything of this. Divided by, minus, times. Plus, this is what you already know. 9 plus 10 is 19. You add the two numbers. Divided by, which is slash. 9 divided by 3 will come out to 3. Minus 9 minus 9 comes out to 0. Multiplication, 9 times 2 equals 18. So you already know math. And all you do to do math is its usual operation symbol, just like it is in normal everyday life. So let's say let's actually do this function to add amount of cheese eaten. We're going to add 1 to amount of cheese eaten using this function. That's what I mean to say. So we're actually going to take an argument for this one. Current cheese value. So now what we're going to do is current cheese value equals current cheese value plus 1. And then return current cheese value. Now, cheese eaten equals function. Then we're going to give the cheese using our amount of cheese eaten variable from earlier. So if I were to run this code right here, if I were to run all of this, it's going to define the function, which means that what this function's doing is it's taking what's within the parentheses, which is the variable from earlier, and it's using this variable within its own code to add 1, and then it's returning the cheese value to this variable. So this is now the new amount of cheese eaten. Now, if for adding to a value, this isn't really how you're going to do it if it's only to be added once. What you'd really do is amount of cheese eaten equals amount of cheese eaten plus 1. This equation right here will add 1 to amount of cheese eaten because it's adding itself plus 1. But if you needed to repeatedly do it, there's the function for it. Now, if you don't understand functions, please leave a comment, and I may recover this if it wasn't clearly understandable. But pretty much the function can execute code repeatedly whenever it's called. So actually, let me give one more example. We're going to define a new function, and we're going to have it print. We're going to have it print text. And so it's waiting for a variable called print text. So now we're going to run the function. New. No, that's how you do it. My bad. New function. And now we're going to give it text to print. Hello world. Now we're going to print. To print something, all you do is the word print, then in parentheses, what you want to print. My bad. We want to print the text. Now, print doesn't mean you gotta go plug in your printer and start printing out pieces of paper. Print actually logs within the console. You can access console by going into View, then Output. This stuff has been printed by Roblox. So that's what printing does. There's 3 different forms of printing. Print, error, and warn. Now, the second two definitely do not sound like printing, but they most definitely are. And I will show how that works. This is printed. This is errored. This is warned. Oh, my bad. This is warned. Now we're going to... why is this blue? That's right. Errors will end the script. So with an error, if you use error, the rest of the code won't run. So you see, this is getting mad because this will never run. But here, let me show what printed warnings and errors look like. Wait for output to load. By the way, if this tutorial doesn't make sense, please leave a comment so I can fix it. So now we're waiting for Roblox Studio. Oh, there, and then in the output, now it says, this is warned, this is errored, and if I go back up, if I go up, but it's taking a while to load, it'll show what's printed. There it is. So this is printed, this is warned, and then that's an error. So these are used for, let's say you have a script that needs someone to input a setting. Like, for example, the speed of a part moving. And if they don't put it in, you can use error. That way it'll shut down the code so the code doesn't start glitching out. And then you can have an error and the error message explain why it errored. Warning, you can do like if something is not recommended in your code, like if they put a number that you don't recommend, you can have it do that. And then print, that's just basic. It'll print if the code works. Print is often used in error diagnosing. Let's say you have some complex, that is not what I meant, some complex code. So you have some complex code right there, and then you can use print. This section worked. That way you can, tell what part of your code is responsible for it not working. So we're actually going to keep this. This was errored. So we're going to keep that for now. Now we're going to line, dash, dash, turn this into a note. So now we're going to show the function. So this should, also you can use arrows to open and close text, or you can open and close functions. So this should print the word hello world, and nothing should stop it. Yep, see, you can see it at the bottom, hello world. It printed successfully. Now we're gonna wait for it to finish exiting. Sorry about the delay, it's just taking a minute. And then next we're going to show how you interact with stuff outside of a script. So such as a part, another script, a value. We're going to be showing how that works. And then we're going to wrap up the first section of the tutorial with you now knowing the basics to scripting. So now we're going to stop loading. Now we're back to our beautiful server example. We're going to go to the script. So now let's temporarily delete everything we just learned here. So now let's say we want to, let's make a part, this part right here. Oh, my bad, I put it accidentally within the script instead of the workspace. So let's say we have this part. And we want to rename it to example part. Now you can see in the properties tab, the part has the stuff that you usually use to change its color. Brick color, which is a letter way to change the color. Color, which uses RGB values to determine the color. Material, this is what it's made out of, granite. Reflectance, transparency, that's the stuff you usually change it with. So for now, we're going to set this brick back. And we want to change this brick red. Now before we change it red, I do have to note one thing. Actually, I have to note many things. In order to access the information around the script, you do the word script. So let's say you want to access this local script, right? You use the word script and then dot parent. Dot parent, if you look under script as a parent, the parent is what it's under. So script.parent means that now I'm calling the server script service. And then I want to put a dot, and then I want to find the local script that's within it. If I know the local script will always be there, this is how you search it. But if you don't know that it'll always be there, you use a different method, which I'll show in a more advanced tutorial video that will be coming soon. So now we're going to access the local script, and let's say we want to delete it. You can either use that function right here. Also, I might as well note that colon and then an action like destroy. This runs as a built-in function. So pretty much destroy will delete the item. Or if you want to go complex, you can set the local script's parent to the nil. Setting anything's parent to nil will delete it. Or rather, it will hide it within nil, which is practically the same as deleting, but it's slightly more complex. So usually I just set it to nil. I don't really use destroy, but you can use destroy because it doesn't really matter. So this is how you access it. Now let's say I want to access something that's not around the script. Like server script service, that is not under workspace. So I could do script.parent.workspace, but there's no real need to go this far. I can use game.workspace. So here, let's shut everything up. All of these, they don't look like they have a parent, but they do. Their parent is game. So now that we reopen game.workspace.example part. So now we found the game, then we found the workspace within it, and then we found the example part. And now we want to change the example part's material. So let's say we want to change its transparency. We're going to do that first. So rather than, you put the dot just like you're going to call for something within it, but you do transparency instead. And then you do equals, and then because transparency is a number 0 to 1 using decimals, you set this to, for example, 0.5. This will set the part when the script runs to half transparency, like that. If we want to modify the script brick color, you do not do it through this. You do you don't do it by putting something like that. So game.workspace.example part dot brick color equals. Now how do you get brick color? If this isn't a string, because it's associated with a color like this, how do you do it? Well, you actually do brickcolor.new, and then you type the name of the color. For example, cadet blue. If you look, I'm not sure I'll be able to find. Let's paste. We'll just do pastel blue. So pastel blue. So that's the pastel blue, and then so it's creating the brick color of that name. So that's how you define something that's based on a color. But what about this color? What if you want an RGB version of a color rather than using these built-in brick colors? Well, you definitely don't do it through that. You definitely don't do it using brick color. Game.workspace.example part.brick color equals color3. You do color3.new. Rather, new. Why is this not working? Color3 from RGB. And now you enter the numbers that are here. So 128.187.187.219. Or comma 128, comma 187, comma 219. Just like it shows up here. Now you can see that the color that it shows right under the numbers I inserted is the same as this. So .new actually means you're creating a new of something. For example, if you're creating a new script, you would put instance. An instance is what these are, such as a part, the workspace, the containers, things like that. So instance dot new, and then you would enter its name. So let's say I want to enter the part. So .new is used to create a new of anything, such as a new brick color, a new color 3 value. It's very common. And then instance is exactly what it shows up here. That's the parts, that's the players, that's the lighting service. And that's pretty much how that works. So now we're going to go to this local script real quick. We're not going to cover any local scripts in this video, but I want to show... I'm going to give you guys a little survey real quick, or an example that you guys can practice with. We have our local script right here. And let's say we want to edit this part. This part right here. We want to change we're going to change its reflectance. How do you reach its reflectance from this local script? Right now I'm giving you guys time to think about if you want. Pause right now if you want to try to figure it out before I show you. You do game dot workspace dot this part dot, I'm pretty sure, yeah, we're changing its reflectance. So you type dot reflectance equals, and then reflectance is a number 0 to 1 again. So let's say we're gonna do 0.7. That's how you do that. Now I'm gonna give you a more trickier one. We want to change this part, the brick called this part, to a brick color called New Yeller. How do we do it? Pause if you want to figure it out yourself. Beginning now. Game.workspace.this part dot brick color equals brick color dot new, and then in quotes New Yeller. It's in quotes because that's a string. Because brick colors are strings. So it's looking to create the new brick color that's New Yeller. Now, based on what you know from brickcolor.new, how do you think we would change its position? Now, if you said game.workspace.thisPart.brickcolor equals, and then we do something.new, if that's what you thought, you're correct. Position, because Roblox is 3D, position is based on vector 3, so you do vector 3.new. Vector 3 means 3 vectors. You have the x coordinate, the y coordinate, and the z coordinate. So vector 3.new, and then you get the coordinate that you want to change it to. X, y, z. So if you thought to do something.new, you got it correct. Now we're going to do one more. How would you put a new part in workspace? Based on what I mentioned about instance. I'm beginning now, so pause it if you would like to try to figure it out yourself. Game dot, no, you do instance dot new. Then in strings, you do part. This will insert a new part. And then what you actually, Now, there's two ways to actually put it within workspace. You can either have instance.new be a word or be a variable. So variable equals instance.new part. And then you can have part.parent equal workspace, which this is probably the way that I'd say you guys tried to figure it out with. Or you can actually do this simpler way that isn't for some reason commonly used. Instance.new part, comma, workspace. So this sets it straight to workspace. Should also note that you don't actually need to use game before workspace because workspace is its own variable, but I often just do game.workspace. And that's going to be the end of today's tutorial. Now, in the next tutorial, I'm going to be covering local scripts, normal scripts, module scripts, and more complex uses of scripts. If you didn't understand this tutorial fully, please leave a comment telling me what I can change, and I can either redo the tutorial or reply to your comment, answering your question. Thank you for watching. I hope this helped, and good luck. Have a nice day.